There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy, Chaz Jackson, coming back to you once again, representing GNG Gift and a Gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you for giving me your eyes and your ears once again as we get ready to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourself. So if you know the motto of this show, if you're tuning in, it's your first time listening to GNG Podcast, or if you're a returning listener, you know that our motto is this: we are all gifted differently to make a difference. And I know there are tons of difference makers that's looking at this live stream or want to be looking at this live stream. Let us know that you're here. If you're looking at us on YouTube or on one of the podcast platforms, looking at the replay, go ahead and comment and share this out to anyone you feel like is going to be able to resonate. And I'm telling you, you will not be, mistaken or anything of that nature of sharing this out. I promise you it's going to benefit each and every viewer that tunes in to this episode 37. We have Miss Gina Connors. She's going to come and shine some light on her theme, creating a legacy of everyday influence. And I'm telling you now, go ahead and get your pen and paper. This is going to be an amazing interview as she gets ready to shine her light. And as John Maxwell says, be salt and light to the world. And before I read off her short bio, I want to go over the mission statement of this platform for my new listeners out there. And we take the daily challenge on this show of becoming a passionate visionary who is determined to leave a legacy for themselves by adopting unwavering life values and serving others in the area of gifting led by God. So that is the mission statement that I'm taking the daily challenge on myself. And I encourage every listener of this podcast to take that daily challenge with me as we work towards creating better lives for ourselves, our families, creating better lives in our workplaces, in our communities, and wherever God put us to serve in. And I'm going to go ahead and read off this short bio as we continue to provide tips and techniques for our young adults out there. And let's go ahead and read out Gina's bio here. We're going to get this champion on for you guys. But Gina Connor, she is a wife, she is a mother, she is an entrepreneur, and she is an educator in higher learning, where she is pouring in to so many people and helping them become greater versions of themselves. Also, being affiliated with the John Maxwell team, being a certified speaker, trainer, and coach. And she's also passionate about video production, and she's the owner of Jaybird Media. She's doing so many phenomenal things, and she is live on GNG Podcast. Are you ready to get it, Queen?
All right. Hi. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Yes, thank you for being here with us. And I know what I read off was short and sweet. Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I have been in the field of education for about a little over 20 years. I actually just did the math the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, it's been over 20 years. I've worked in public high schools for part of my career. And then the last 12 years or so, I've been in higher education and teacher preparation, working mostly in graduate programs with new teachers. So that's part of one hat that I wear. But like you mentioned also, my husband and I co-own Jaybird Media, which is a video production company. And we do a lot of video production for all sorts of kind of a jack of all trades in video production. We do small businesses, large businesses, weddings, a lot of nonprofits. We donate a lot of video work to our local nonprofits like Arizona Helping Hands and some other just fantastic organizations here in Phoenix to help support their mission as well. And then I also work in leadership coaching as well. So wear a couple different hats, and I love it because it keeps me busy and it keeps me engaged and keeps me working with amazing people that I get to connect with and support every day.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And you are creating so many amazing things, serving in your area of gifting. And I know even off camera and learning a little bit more about yourself, your family has overcome tons of adversity to get to where you are right now. And I would love for you even to kind of backtrack into the past a little bit more of where did all this kind of start from to get you in a position to be such a phenomenal individual in higher learning education, teaching graduate, students, and just doing and wearing all of these hats and really just crushing it. To be honest with you, man. And, yeah, so I would love to. Can you just share your story a little bit more about where all that kind of originated from for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked a little bit about this, that, my family's overcome quite a bit. We've had, issues with, in my extended family. We've had mental illness. We've had a suicide in our family. We've had drug addiction and alcohol addiction with different family members, and definitely some rough times, some ups and downs for a family. And I'd say definitely in my teens, early 20s, I really struggled with what was happening in my family and whatnot. And I really came to a point in my life that I really realized I needed to make a decision about what direction I wanted to go in my life. And kind of ever since then, I've been on a track of, every day getting a little bit better. That change doesn't happen in big fell swoops. That it happens with daily practice. It happens with failure. It happens with change. It happens in these small ways on a daily basis and through reflection and whatnot. So, and I think that's really planted a deep seed in my heart over time that has been growing for probably a solid 25 years. That I knew that education, that I wanted to go into education and be a teacher. I've worked with a lot of students with special needs, with mild disabilities, in secondary settings. And when I went that path in my career, it was really the right place for me because I really have a passion for something that you said earlier, actually, is that we're all gifted differently. And, there are students that are challenged in different ways, when they're in high school and in college as well. And we all have different strengths. We all have different areas that we're working on, or areas of need. We're all different. We're all gifted differently. And, working to help people, especially students. When I started out my career in the high school setting with in special education, that it really taught me so much about being creative and looking at our strengths. How do we leverage our strengths to get better and to try to figure out what we can do to support our areas of need, because we all have them. So that's kind of where I started in my career. But I know that passion really came from knowing that education and having positive influencers in your life, positive teachers, parents, community members, it makes a difference in the lives of a lot of kids, a lot of youth, whether you're in high school, college, elementary school. That positivity, having good role models and teachers as leaders, makes a positive difference. And then I've carried that into my work in higher education as well.
Yes, there's no better way of saying that last part of getting around good influencers and even dating back to earlier in your story and me and you resonate so much, me having a background of, people that battle with drugs and alcohol and seeing domestic violence and so many other traumas and dramas, in my childhood and my teenage years, and that stuff affects us in our adulthood. But I really like what you said, Gina, when you said, hey, just taking it one day at a time. I'm kind of paraphrasing based off what you were saying. It's like taking it one day at a time, knowing bits and pieces at a time. And for me, even battling with that stuff early in my childhood, I really got the idea and taking that daily challenge, like I mentioned before, of really realizing, hey, failure is not the enemy, Chaz. I constantly got to tell myself that and know that, hey, when you're trying to make a radical change in your belief system or striving for a goal, and I'm sure you kind of, battling and going through schooling and progressing up to where you are right now, your belief system had to change from what you prior believed, back in your childhood, or what was taught to us, if that makes sense, and yeah, that's constantly part of it. And looks like there she go. Did she come back? Yeah, no, that's no worries, no worries. I was like, I seen the question mark, and I was like, okay. Maybe I said something she didn't want to hear. I don't know.
No, never. Sorry, I don't know what
no,
happened
no, there's no worries. That's technology for you. But whoever is just now tuning in, Miss Gina Connors, she is here shining her light. If you listen to us on the live stream, and we're diving deep into the theme, creating a legacy of everyday influence. And I was just talking about, us creating a different belief systems for ourselves and really understanding, hey, in order for us to do that, like you said, Gina, you have to, want to get better, want to, go after those dreams, those goals, really tap into your potential. But it really helps when you get good people around you and get good mentors and coaches to speak life into you, because I constantly say to my young people, you have a seed of greatness inside of you. And me personally, I'm just a waterer, right? I'm just watering that seed. But at the end of the day, we have to take action and strive towards our legacy. I love the theme. And even going on the whole aspect of all of that, your accomplishments right now in 2021, and I know you're going to be doing so many other things moving forward. Can you share with the audience, like, what are some of your rituals and routines that you do to stay grounded and to keep consistent on bettering yourself so that you can go out and better other people?
Yeah, I love that question, because I think so much of our personal growth is based on the rituals and habits that we build. And some are easier than others, honestly. But I've worked really hard at creating habits over time that serve me, so that I can serve other people. Because if I don't take care of myself, if I don't have the habits that help me and energize me and keep me focused and grounded in what's important to me and what my priorities and values are, then I can't serve anybody else. And that's not where I want to be. So some of the habits that I have, some of the routines. One of my most important, I'd say, is in the morning. The way that I start my morning, it makes a big difference. And I personally am not a super early riser. A lot of people are, and I love it, and I've always wanted to be that. But I learned recently that you can't really. It's hard to change your chronotype, your sleep chronotype, and so I've finally, and it's working better for me to have a consistent bedtime and waking up time, and in the morning I journal. I have a journal that I use on my phone, because sometimes I journal throughout the day as well. But I really work on planning my day every day, and I use Brendan Burchard's High Performance Planner. And I've used so many planners throughout my life, but this is the one that has just brings my heart to every single day, because it starts out, it's more than just planning my time. It's planning my priorities and my values. And it's about who am I? Who do I need to lead well today? Who do I need to focus and prioritize today?
So is it like a journal, and then it has a planner?
Yeah,
That's
it
pretty. Brandon
has
Bouchard of
here's my thing. But it has
that's
like
good stuff.
planner part, but then it has like morning mindset questions and evening mindset questions. And what I love about it is I keep it right next to me all day. I have a message to myself. I have what my goals and priorities are, but I have that piece here of who am I supporting today? Who needs my A game today? So like you are my A game person. You need my A game today. So I've been thinking about you all day today. Like, how do I bring my A game to you and your audience today? So it keeps me grounded, it keeps me focused, and it keeps my heart where I want it to be in focusing on what I need to do every day.
I like that. Can you hear me pretty good?
Oh, I've lost audio.
Have you? What about now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, there was a little echo on the other end, and I was trying to fix that. But yeah, that's really good stuff. That's really good stuff. And yeah, Brandon Bouchard, Kings and Queens, whoever listened to this, definitely look into it. Hey, if Gina's diving deep into it, it must be some really good stuff there. So that's definitely something that I would look into as well. But I agree with you. That morning, the way that you plan your morning is so essential. And like you said, it's easier said than done, right? Obviously, when you put something on paper, hey, I'm gonna get up at 5 o'clock for the next 21 days, the enemy is gonna come after you that much more to prevent you from doing that. It's gonna really test you. It makes you see if you're gonna get up that morning. But for me, I truly believe that when I wake up in the morning, I do my affirmations, I get in God's word, I do my exercise, and have all my little flight plan, my little checklist. I get everything done to refuel myself. I'm such a better husband for him, and that works for me. I'm such a better father in my opinion. And for me to go out and tackle the workplace and to do things like this podcast, it just sets my day up to be better. If that makes sense. So I definitely. Yeah, so I definitely believe in that.
Every morning along those lines, I'm very mindful about being active every morning. I take about a 2-mile walk with my dog every morning, use about 20 minutes of that time, talk to God, pray, like really like feel that, God's spirit. And it's probably one of my favorite times of the day because, like you said, it makes me a better wife, it makes me a better friend, it makes me a better teacher, better parent, everything. I value that time like crazy. So I'm right there with you.
Yes. And that is a good question, whoever's listening right now. How are you tackling your morning? How is your morning routine? And I would love to hear in the comments, any of you guys, let us know what you're doing to help, fuel you so that you can be your greatest version when you're going out and you're serving your family. You're serving at your workplace, you're serving in the school system, you're serving as a coach, you're serving in the community. So we would love to hear from you and see what's working for you. And I want to dive deep on this theme, and I want you to share what it means to you, creating a legacy of everyday influence. Gina, when you hear that, what comes to mind?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, a great question. It means so much to me, actually. I think now, where I am in my life now, I'm much more mindful of kind of the legacy that I want, but also in helping others think about it every day. Because I think legacy it's a big word. It has a big connotation, and it's often, I think, especially like in my younger years, in my 20s and early 30s, that legacy, I wasn't thinking about that. but really what it is not something big that you do in your life. And I think that sometimes it's easy to kind of get into the mindset of like, oh, I'll build my legacy later. And legacy means different things to different people. But for me, what this has come to mean for me is that my legacy doesn't happen through big, like kind of what I said earlier, big projects, things like that. It happens in everyday interactions, every day, how I'm influencing my daughter, how I'm influencing my son, how I'm influencing my husband, because they go out and they're influencing people as well through their lives. And when we're mindful of how we are influencing the people that are closest to us, our parents, our aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews. I think about them all the time about like, hey, how can I check in with them and be a positive influence to them today? Because that's
I
the
really
kind
like
of
that.
that is contagious, and that they learn through that modeling, that they will carry on through their lives as well.
Mm.
And I think it's the moments, it's the little interactions, I think, that help people the most in building their legacy and through that every single day influence that they have.
Mm. I agree with that, and there's no better way of saying it, Gina. It's like I think when we think about legacy, we want to think about the long term, and I don't think it's wrong to think that way. But at the same time, we have to think about the short term because we're creating a legacy every day. Every time you step in a room, you are creating a legacy. You're creating your brand of who you are. You're creating your character. And
Yeah.
for me thinking about that is realizing, hey, yeah, we don't necessarily have control of the day that we're born. We don't necessarily have control um, normally of the day that we die, but we do have control of that dash, and that's generally what we see on that tombstone, right? It's going to be the day you was born, the day you die, and that dash. And we do have control of that dash. Who have listened to me right now, and for me, when I think about that, is how impactful is my dash going to be? What type of influence will my dash entails? When Chaz Jackson takes his last breath, and obviously, again, we have to be passionate visionaries, like in the mission statement of GNG podcast, thinking long term. But I do agree with you on that. That is something that you take the daily challenge of implementing in order that you create your legacy right now. And I love sharing with my young people, hey, you're not too small right now to be a difference maker in someone's life right now, today, on February the 24th, 21. Like, nobody's too small. Everyone has a story, and everybody has a voice. And there's people around you that needs to hear what you're doing, what you've overcome, to give them hope to keep pressing forward. Because there's a lot of people out there that's suffocating, and I'm not just missing myself from that. I have my challenges as well, and just hearing someone else share their story and being relatable, being exposed, I like to talk about a lot. Really being authentic, and again, just this creating your legacy, like we're talking about, and being that influence. Yeah, it speaks wonders, and it gives people hope for sure. And I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think, I agree with you. I think it's a combination of thinking about the long term and the short term, because the long term impact of everyday influence, everyday leadership, the long term impact is the legacy, right? Legacy, like when you think about what you want to leave behind, like what you want for, like, how you want people to think of you after you're gone. I think of that on that daily level, because it's what happens today that matters to me, because that's what people will remember in the future as well. So yeah, I absolutely agree that the long term. I think the one thing that when I was younger, and I think this is pretty common. When we're younger, legacy seems so far away. It just seems so. It seems like, oh, I can think about legacy in 20 years from now.
Yeah, such a strong word, right? Legacy. Like it just seems like
Yeah,
something that's really,
yeah, it feels
really
like
deep.
something
And
right?
yeah,
It's like something you could do tomorrow or next year.
yeah.
But what I'm trying to really how I want to influence the people around me, the people that I love, to think about their legacy is how do they how do you build your legacy a little bit every day? Because
I like that.
that that's the power. There's a power in that daily investment of time in your legacy. That over time, that long term, it's going to be magnificent.
Dude, she's dropping the mic already, guys. I'm telling you, she's doing it. I told you, I will not steer you wrong. Get that pen and paper. If you didn't, you can go ahead and pause it. Go ahead and grab it. You can watch the replay because that is some gold, some gems that was just spoken there. And I love this conversation. And
Me
it
too.
brings me into this next question on the scope of obviously we're dealing with the pandemic starting in 2020, COVID-19. I know that's an issue, but anything comes to mind for you, Dr. Connors, on the aspect of what our youth or young adults are struggling with today in 2021 that you've seen, and
Yeah.
can you provide something or tip or technique to help them overcome that stronghold or situation?
Here it comes again. Okay, there you are.
Yeah, there we go. We back.
Lost,
We back.
lost you for a second. Okay.
This is gonna be
Yeah.
a good. This is gonna be a good. This is gonna be a good answer, man. There's something want to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I think that youth, teens, young adults right now, I think it's a hard it's a hard world right now for a lot of reasons. And in talking to a lot of the teachers that I work with, in particularly in high schools, as well as the college students that I'm working with, that it's really hard to um, juggle so many responsibilities and um, keep on task with like the things that they're doing in school and whatnot. And this has been a challenge that I've seen even before the pandemic, and this will be a challenge after the pandemic, because in honesty, one of the challenges that our teens, young adults have is with like skills such as like sustained attention, goal setting and goal attainment, things like that aren't really fully developed. Those are called our executive function skills. And executive function skills, it's a set of skills. It sounds like it's for executives like CEOs or something, but what it is, it's a set of skills that we all use every day. It's attention, it's time management, it's emotional control, it's planning, prioritization, goal-directed persistence, meaning you can start a task and then finish it and then have further goals that you persist towards. And I think that's a challenge for all youth, teens, and young adults in general, especially in a world where we all are, not just them, we all are distracted by so many things on our phones, all the stuff that we have, right? The pandemic, I think, has exacerbated that, especially high schoolers that have to juggle now trying to figure out a lot of different new technologies that they have to use in new ways for learning and submitting assignments, which has been a challenge for a lot of teens for a long time. But we get better at it over time.
Right.
And it's interesting. I asked my daughter about this, like what she thinks and she's 14, and asked her, what she thought the biggest challenges for kids, kids and teenagers were these days. And she said, and it was really interesting. She said that it was like setting goals and moving forward towards them.
Wow,
And
that's really good.
yeah, that is not what I expected her to say, actually. But I thought it was really interesting because I see that every day as an educator, as a parent, And then on top of that, we have a lot of people out there. We talked a little bit earlier about everyone has different gifts, right? And there are a lot of people out there that have, ADD or, things like that impact those skills even further. And it's hard for them on a daily basis to juggle everything that life has going on and to keep moving forward towards those bigger goals that they want to achieve. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of my passion, is around supporting people with those types of skills, because it's they're important skills, because if we don't practice them, if we don't have support and guidance and practice with them, they don't develop the way that they need to, so that once you're in your mid-20s and those skills are fully developed, that it can really impact somebody's life if they don't have those fully developed skills.
Now, when you say executive skills, and if we got like a parent or coach or teacher that's listening to you and they want to learn more information about that, is there any resource that you could share to really grasp the whole concept behind the executive skills?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have some information on my website. So that's one place that you can go. And there are a lot of books. And actually, I'm in the process of writing a blog that I think I'll be finished with tomorrow that will have some further resources.
Nice.
And particularly around goal-directed persistence. But I think anyone, as a parent, and as an educator, I've worked with a ton of teens, but my son struggles with ADD, and he's 23. And as a parent, I have to learn how to manage and navigate some of the things that he needs help with, but not doing it for him, right? But helping him to break things down and learn the independence with these types of skills. That it's a real struggle for him. And it's a real struggle for a lot of people out there. But each and every one of us have our own strengths and, areas that we fall flat with executive skills. So we all have different areas. So, it's a hard area to focus on, but there's so much out there that we can do, little things. And the technologies that we have available today are incredible to help us, almost like our phones can help support that executive functioning in our brains from our prefrontal cortex.
Boom, yeah, that complex thinking. That's it.
Yeah,
executive
absolutely.
skills. Whoever's listening to it, and she's definitely, it's already on the bottom screen there, the information to go check out our blog, but she'll definitely share a little bit more for my podcast platforms of how you can get in tune with those executive skills and find that blog and be able to learn and develop that intellect so you can, influence yourself as well as the young people that is put in front of you. So that's really good stuff, Dr. Khan. That's really good stuff. And so, last question here. So, obviously, I said Gifting the Gift podcast, the motto is we're all gifted differently to make a difference. And I have faith someone's listening to you right now that has not truly tapped into their gift. They have been having trouble on manifesting, bringing their true talents, their true ability to pass for this world to see. Is there any encouraging words that you can give them to, influence them to know that they are gifted differently to make a difference? Does anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple things. One, I am a big advocate of journaling. I think journaling and really thinking about your thinking and what is important to you, and really bringing things back to what are your values, because your values will often tell you where your passions lie. And it might help give you some direction on what's most important to you in your life. Like really what brings you alive, because, and I don't know, I know this is a quote, and I will not get it correct, but like the world needs more people that have come alive, that bring their heart to the table. And when you take the time to examine your values, what's important to you, and what really brings you alive, you have a wealth there of untapped potential that you can start thinking about and start writing about and start thinking about. And when I say journaling, it doesn't even always have to be writing. We all have different ways of journaling. You could journal through, a written journal. There are journaling apps that are phenomenal. You could do a video journal. There are apps for video journaling, photo journaling. There's all sorts of ways to really capture what you're thinking about and what you want to reflect on. So I would say that is something to take 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes and see where it grows from there. So I would say that's one that I would absolutely pursue because I think it helps a lot of people.
Boom. That's really good stuff. And are you a lefty?
I am a lefty, yes.
Yeah, see, I knew you was cool. I knew I liked you. I'm a lefty too, man. We think with the right side of our brains, yes.
Yeah, I always put pencil in my hand.
Hey, you journal. Hey, you practicing what you preach. That's really good stuff. So,
yeah.
Really.
And one more thing that I want to mention. One more thing along those same lines of you're exploring like what you want to do, the difference that you want to make. Every day, take a little risk, whatever that is, to make a difference and to bring that positivity and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, that's it. I'm telling you, she's about to bring the heat. I know that's why it keeps popping out.
Every time. But like every day, like just stepping a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Again, a little bit every day teaches you like how to, take some risk, but also like how can you influence people? I set different goals for myself every day, and one day it was like I don't know how this was going to happen, but I'm like, you know what? Help somebody while I'm taking my 2-mile walk. Help somebody do something. I didn't know what it was going to do, what I was going to end up doing, and the whole time that I was walking, I was looking for opportunities to help somebody, and like that made me feel so good. And like every day, if you challenge yourself and wise, you'll come alive in different ways, and you'll find ways to tap into the talents and that passion, the gifts that you have in your heart, and how you could bring them to the world. So look for those opportunities, set some challenges for yourself, just little ones sometimes, but it helps you come alive. It helps you be more aware of who you are and how you could bring your gifts to the world.
I love it. That is so on point. And yes, we have to take risks and take that daily challenge. Like I said earlier, failure is not the enemy.
No.
I've learned so much more in my failures than my successes, if that makes sense. So, yeah. We got to continue to take those risks. I agree so wholeheartedly with you on that, Gina. And before I have you give, your contact information, I know there's someone's listening to you like, I want to get in contact with Gina Connors and check out her blog, learn more about those executive skills, about Jaybird Media. I want to encourage you to share that information. But I know before we even got on camera, you said you had a question for me. So I want to give you the opportunity to ask me a question if it's still there. And yeah, so it's on you.
Absolutely. So my question for you is like, what is the best piece of advice anyone's ever given you?
Wow. That is a really good question.
I know. I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
Wow. I've gotten some really good advice along my journey. For some reason, this is coming to mind for me, though. It was actually out of a book. Does it matter if it's a book or a real person?
No, it doesn't matter.
It actually came out of the book, The Four Agreements. It's by Don McGregor Reese. I don't know if you read that book before, but it's one of his agreements. And it was something that I truly was challenged with before I read that book, and again, that whole daily challenge is not to take things so personally. And that
Ah,
was so huge for me because the old Chaz Jackson, at one point, I didn't truly love myself. I had low self esteem. There was even a point where I didn't even really want to live, to be honest with you. And a lot of that was because of me playing the victim role and not knowing that my circumstances, I can be victorious in those circumstances. And when I read that the agreement, don't take things so personally, and really dialed into what he was really meaning by that is everyone sees the world differently than Chaz Jackson sees the world. Everybody has their version. And I love using this quote, your life is a reflection of the story that you tell yourself. So I was telling myself a terrible story at one point in my life. Yeah, good things was happening, but the bad, that those internal wounds was really taking over for me. And when I heard that, and I really took the challenge of implementing that in my life, God, it changed, it made wonders in my life. And I mean, even the other ones, whoever listens to this, definitely read that book. Those four agreements are so powerful. Be
such a good
impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Wow, we can talk for another hour just on making assumptions, right? And and
100%.
you've been talking about this all night. Just do your best. Like, do
Yeah.
the best, taking a daily challenge of doing the best that you can. But yeah, that popped in my head amongst other things. But I'm
Oh,
the first one that
I love
popped in my
it.
head. Don't take
That's
things so
one of my
personally.
favorite books. So, like, I actually haven't read it in about 10 years, maybe, but man, you've just inspired me to reread it
Yeah, I'm
because
looking forward to
I
rereading
love
it
that.
again. It's packed away right now, so we're looking to move next month. So I haven't poured out all my books; they're like in boxes. But I'm gonna read that book. You just inspired me because it was first like it's a really powerful book. And if you're not a huge reader, whoever's listening, just go on YouTube. It has audio books, so people has translated that book. I even, whenever I was taking that daily challenge, I would play the audio of just that chapter. Don't take things personally. I remember playing it on my way to work every day. Like I would play that that one. Don't take anything personally. That agreement, that whole chapter, that audio chapter. So, hey, I wholeheartedly encourage whoever's listening to check that out. But thank you for arising that one again. I needed
Of
to hear that
course.
myself.
I love hearing like great things that people have learned through their journeys because it teaches me so much. And so much of what you just said just resonated with me because I've been there in every single way. That when I read that book, I needed to read that book because I was telling myself stories that were not true about myself. And it definitely was part of my upswing in starting to grow and be more intentional about my thinking and really paying attention to it. So thanks for sharing that. You've brought that alive in me again.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And go ahead and share your contact information. I know the audience is wanting to reach out to you, and can you just shine your
Yeah,
light on that information?
yeah, absolutely. So my website is GinaConner.com, GINACONNER.com. And if you want to email me, my email is hello@GinaConner.com. So, and I can, I think you tagged me on your social somewhere. So somewhere in there,
Yeah.
I'm sure people could link out to find me.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Again, thank you so much for your time, your effort, coming on GNG podcast. This has been an amazing treat for each and every one of the guests and audience who's listening and tuning in, whether it's on a live stream, listen to the replay on one of the podcast platforms. I know that they took a lot from this. And I encourage who's ever listening right now, go ahead and drop in the comments a tip or technique that you took from this episode 37. But again, I know you're going to be doing so many more amazing things as you strive to bring more fruit through your gifts to the world moving through 2021. But I definitely resonate with everything you're doing, Miss Gina. And again, I look forward to watching you grow and just be in a position to help any way I can, and yeah, continue to grow as we serve our young people. All right.
Right back at you. I'm always here for you. So thank you so much. I'm happy to have connected with all of you. And thanks for having me on. This has been an awesome conversation.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to go ahead and lead us out, okay? I told each and every one of you episode 37 was going to be phenomenal. I want you guys to stay up with GNG. More episodes coming soon. I want you guys to do 2 things for me. Keep that crown on your heart. And remember this one for me. We are God's echo. I love each and every one of you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.